Good. Good morning, everyone. This meeting is called to order. Mr. Troman, has anyone signed up for public comment? Thank you very much, Mr. Troman. Good morning, Ms. Miller.
Good morning, sir.
How are we today?
Very well, thanks.
All right, let's tackle this agenda item 3, no cases to reconsider on agenda item 3. Is that correct?
Correct, no cases.
All right. Once again, I will renew my call for walk-up music from Ms. Turner. Good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm fine. Do I
Let's,
get to pick out my own music?
it's kind of an executive decision thing, yeah. Let's consider tax liability cases under agenda item 4. I think we have 2 tax cases on docket 29.
Yes, sir. There are 2 tax cases on docket 29. The first one is TD-21-045-0721, Commissioner Demerson.
I agree with staff recommendation. Since the tax rate calculation formula in the statute allows only one possible result given the taxable wage and chargeback totals for the employer's account, but I'd like to issue a long form concurring opinion to explain how the employer might be able to protest any chargebacks with which it disagrees.
Okay, Commissioner Trevino,
I agree with staff recommendation.
Chairman Daniel.
I agree with staff recommendation.
The second case is TD-23-002-0223, Commissioner Demerson.
Agree with staff recommendation.
Commissioner Trevino
I agree with staff's recommendation.
and Chairman Daniel.
Agree with staff recommendation.
Thank you.
All right, no fair housing cases. All right. Under agenda item 6, we have no wage claim cases on docket 29 that are pulled for additional discussion.
Correct, none pulled for discussion, but you should have received the wage claim short form dissent list for docket 29.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining wage claim cases on docket 29.
I second the chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I am dissenting as reflected in the wage claim short form dissent list for docket 29.
I concur with chairman's motion, except for those cases on which I am dissenting as reflected on a wage claim short form dissent list for docket 29.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's move to agenda item 7 in consideration of unemployment insurance cases on docket 29. Please proceed when you're ready.
Case number 3344030, Commissioner Demerson.
The appeal tribunal decision should be modified. First, I agree that the employer had good cause for its non-appearance. As to the job separation, the claimant was discharged for violating the employer's confidentiality policy. While the claimant denies any wrongdoing, the employer's documentary evidence is specific and detailed as to the policy violation in question. In addition, the appeal tribunal was in the best position to gauge the credibility with the parties, and therefore the employer's version of events should be given greater weight than the claimant's denial. Since the employer's confidentiality policy warns that violating the policy can result in termination, the claimant's action constituted work-connected misconduct. We should therefore modify the HE decision. The employer had good cause for its non-appearance, misconduct, no chargeback, sever adequate response.
The decision should be modified. I do not dispute that the ruling on the good cause issue. However, the evidence does not establish that the claimant was discharged for misconduct. The employer only presented hearsay evidence to support their allegations that the claimant disclosed confidential information to a resident. The claimant testified under oath that she did not disclose any confidential information. Since firsthand testimony is given greater weight than the exclusively hearsay evidence, the employer did not meet its burden of proving misconduct. Therefore, we should modify the AT. Employer had good cause to reopen, no misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response.
Modify the AT. Employer established good cause for AT1, no misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Case number 3412682, Commissioner Demerson.
We should reverse the appeal tribunal decision. Claimant was discharged for violation of the employer's zero tolerance harassment policy after a coworker complained. The claimant addressed the coworker using a term that referenced her physical appearance and which conveyed more than a professional interest in her. Because the claimant had previously told this coworker that he liked her and was well aware that she did not feel the same way, the claimant's comment was inappropriate and the coworker's discomfort understandable. Thus, because the claimant violated the employer's zero tolerance policy, we should reverse the AT decision. Misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
The AT decision is correct. A coworker complained about how the claimant greeted her on one occasion. The employer declined to produce any evidence regarding the details of the final incident including when it occurred. And then they failed to indicate how the use of this greeting violated their policy. There is no evidence that the claimant was warned that the greeting made to his coworker was uncomfortable, or that the claimant was aware using this greeting on one occasion violated the employer's policy, such that it would place his job in jeopardy. The employer's evidence is insufficient to establish misconduct connected with the work. Affirm the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
Affirm the 18, no misconduct, chargeback.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Case number 3418457, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant was discharged for falsifying records. However, the employer did not establish that the claimant intentionally falsified records. The claimant merely made a mistake while entering data into the patient's chart. The claimant had only worked for the employer for 5 months and was never able to consistently meet the employer's expectation without making mistakes. Therefore, the claimant was discharged for her inability to perform the job to the employer's satisfaction, which did not constitute misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response.
When the appeal tribunal decision should be modified, the claimant committed an error in her job duties that the employer stated amounted to a policy violation. The claimant was terminated due to the violation. As such, the claimant's actions constituted work-connected misconduct. We should therefore modify the AT decision. Misconduct, no chargeback, sever adequate response. In the alternative, if my fellow commissioners do not agree, since the claimant stated that she was making mistakes due to a severe sleeping disorder, I could also agree to qualify the claimant for benefits and protect the employer's account under a vote of no misconduct, no chargeback, MVI, void adequate response.
Modify the 18, misconduct, no chargeback, sever adequate response.
We'll do a short form dissent, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3431408, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant supervisor had a history of belittling and insulting the claimant and several other women, female coworkers. After the claimant took some time off to deal with the death of her sister and to care for her sister's children, the claimant supervisor used extremely insensitive and derogatory language to express his opinion that the claimant needed to return to work. When the claimant returned to work, she heard the supervisor repeat the same statement and use the same offensive language. The claimant quit due to the insensitive and unprofessional comments from her supervisor made in the presence of coworkers. This workplace harassment provided the claimant with a good cause to quit. Reverse the AT, no voluntary leaving, chargeback.
We should affirm the appeal tribunal decision. The employer offered several ways for employees to report harassment to the employer. There was a system that proactively reached out to the employees and asked them if they felt they had experienced harassment or discrimination. In addition, the employer's policy outlined a complaint procedure with multiple avenues for reporting harassment. The claimant chose not to take advantage of these resources. While the claimant may have had legitimate complaints about her supervisor, by not using the resources available to notify the employer of the issues, the claimant did not provide the employer a reasonable opportunity to remedy her concerns. Should affirm the AT decision, voluntary leaving, no chargeback.
Affirm the AT, voluntary leaving, no chargeback.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3436216, Commissioner Dimerson.
We should affirm the appeal tribunal decision. On the claimant's first day of work, she met another employee with whom she had past interactions. Based on the previous interactions and her belief that she would feel uncomfortable working with the coworker, the claimant quit. Since the preponderance of the evidence shows that the claimant failed to provide the employer with an adequate opportunity to connect to remedy her needs, The claimant's separation was a voluntary quit without work-connected good cause. Finally, an analysis under 207.045 G-1 is improper. The claimant was clearly making above her maximum wage demand. In addition, the claimant failed to provide evidence which showed that continued employment would entail a degree of risk to her health, safety, or morals as to make the work unsuitable. As such, we should affirm the appeal tribunal decision, voluntary leaving, overpayment.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant quit on her first day of work after she learned that one of her new coworkers was someone with whom she had a prior romantic relationship and legal conflict. The claimant's attorney had advised the claimant that no further contact with this individual, and the employer had no alternative positions available to the claimant. The work was not suitable because the claimant was not safe or comfortable working with this coworker. Under section 207.045 of the act, the claimant had good cause for quitting because she was receiving benefits when she took the job. The work was unsuitable due to the claimant's prior conflict with the coworker, and the claimant worked for the employer for less than 4 weeks. Reverse the AT, no voluntary leaving, no overpayment.
Affirm the AT, voluntary leaving, overpayment.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
Yes, sir. And that was the last unemployment insurance case pulled for additional discussion on docket 29. You should have received the UI short form dissent list for docket 29.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining UI cases on docket 29.
I second the chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I'm dissenting, as reflected in the UI short form dissent list for docket 29.
I concur with Chairman's motion, except for those cases in which I am dissenting as reflected on UI short form dissent list for docket 29.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, I think that's it for that. Let's take a short recess. We're back with agenda item 8, certification and recertification of community rehabilitation programs to participate in the Purchasing People with Disabilities Program.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mr. Townsend, Juan Garcia with the Voc Rehab Division. This morning for your consideration, we have one CRP that is applying for first-time certification to participate in the Purchasing from People with Disabilities Program. The CRP is the Spanglish Foundation located in Temple. We also have 5 CRPs that are applying for recertification to continue in the program. And they are the Vocational Opportunity Center of Northeast Texas in Mount Pleasant, GNH Equitas Foundation in Corpus Christi, Ready One Industries in El Paso, the Homestead Community Development Corporation in Houston, and Bootstraps Occupational Services in Crawford. Staff recommends the certification of 1 new CRP and 5 CRPs that are applying for recertification as presented in the discussion paper. With that, I can answer any questions you might have.
Any comments or questions?
None here.
None here.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the certification and recertification of the following community rehabilitation programs to participate in the Purchasing from People with Disabilities program as recommended today by staff. The new certification of Spanglish Foundation and the other 5 that were mentioned, the Vocational Opportunity Center of Northeast Texas, GNH Equitas Foundation, Ready One Industries, the Homestead Community Development Corporation, and Bootstrap Occupational Services, Inc.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and second. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
So agenda item 9, fiscal year 2025 planning estimate for the Child Care Professional Development Scholarship Statewide Initiative.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Townsend. For the record, Allison Wilson with the Child Care and Early Learning Division. Last August, the Commission approved the agency's legislative appropriations request for the 2024-25 biennium, which included a planning estimate of $750,000 per year for the Child Care Professional Development Scholarships Initiative. Then in June of this year, the Commission approved the fiscal year 24 statewide initiatives budget, which included an increase in this initiative to $3 million to help support implementation of TWC's 2023 Child Care Workforce Strategic Plan. Staff are currently in the process of procuring a grantee and would like to issue a grant that covers a 2-year project period. A 2-year period will better align with the intended design and management of the initiative. Staff recommends that the Commission approve an FY25 planning estimate of $3.5 million for the PD Scholarship Initiative to align with TWC's strategic plans and support higher quality grant applications. And that concludes my remarks. Happy to answer any questions.
Any comments or questions?
None here.
And none here.
Is there a motion?
Move that we approve a fiscal year 2025 planning estimate of $3.5 million for the Professional Development Scholarship Project as described in the discussion paper and recommended today by staff.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and second. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is agenda item 10, board nomination.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Townsend. For the record, Cherie Dudley with Workforce Development. Today, for your consideration, we have Workforce Board nominations for Cameron County, Concho Valley, North Central Texas, Heart of Texas, Gulf Coast, Central Texas, and Southeast Texas. Staff recommends approval on the presented nominees, and I'm here to answer, excuse me, here to answer any questions you may have.
Any comments or questions?
None here.
And none here.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we approve the local Workforce Development Board member nominees presented today for the following areas: Workforce Solutions, Cameron County, Concho Valley, North Central Texas, the Heart of Texas, Gulf Coast, Central Texas, and Southeast Texas.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and second. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so Farmer's Almanac tells me that if Michael Britt's wearing a tie, that there's a legislative report today, and he does in fact have on a tie. So we're going to have a legislative report. Imagine his walk-up music in your head when he comes.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, and Mr. Townsend. For the record, Michael Britt, Governmental Relations. The U.S. House Appropriations Subcommittee on Labor, Health and Human Services and Education released their draft fiscal year 2024 appropriations title last week. The subcommittee also held a hearing last Friday to consider the draft, which would provide $147 billion for programs under the jurisdiction of the subcommittee, which is $60.3 billion or 29% below the fiscal year 2023 enacted levels and $73 billion below the president's budget request. The measure provides a discretionary total of $9.8 billion to the U.S. Department of Labor, which is $4 billion or 29% below the fiscal 2023 enacted level. Under the subcommittee draft, the majority of programs administered by TWC would see level funding from fiscal year 2023 to fiscal year 2024. However, the draft does include cuts to WIOA. The draft would completely eliminate youth training programs under WIOA and propose cuts to adult WIOA programs as well. The subcommittee reported the draft bill favorably by a voice vote last Friday, and the bill now goes to the full U.S. House Appropriations Committee for their consideration. It is also being reported that the U.S. Senate Appropriations Committee will release their Labor, Health and Human Services and Education Appropriations title sometime before the end of this month. This concludes my remarks, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Any comments or questions?
None here.
None here, other than it's a nice tie.
Thank you.
Right. All right, Mr. Townsend, this is your time to make a report, a recommendation, air any grievances, get something off your chest. This is it.
Been waiting a long time for this. Chairman.
And Mr. Cerner is not here.
Good morning,
Mr. Cerner reads the transcripts though.
I do have a couple of items under the heading of funding opportunities I wanted to mention to the commissioners this morning. The first one deals with unemployment insurance funding opportunity. This came out in a UI unemployment insurance program letter last Thursday. There was a webinar on Friday with Department of Labor announcing funding opportunity primarily in two areas. One is, and we'd already been working on one of this under a previous letter. One, strengthening integrity in the UI system. That amount for Texas is almost $3.5 million. That is actually a cut from in half from what it was previously. I believe you might have been made aware of this by Mr. Cerna previously, but that was one item in the funding opportunity, and staff is working on options of or proposals to use that funding to strengthen our integrity of the UI system. The second deals with information technology modernization. There's some categories that the Department of Labor has provided for states to complete. This previously was going to be 11 million or so for all states to apply for. With the reduction in funding, this new announcement, it's still 11 million, up to 11 million for states, but the funding available for all states is 200 million. So there's not going to be enough funding for every state to get the up to 11 million. And so with that being said, states can apply for this. I think the deadline is mid-August, August 18th, to submit a proposal and interest and that sort of thing. So just wanted to make the commissioners aware of the this competitive award essentially for 11 million for IT modernization in the UI system. So unless you have questions or need more information, that was all I had to report this morning on that funding opportunity for Texas. Okay. The second item is an opportunity. I believe this came about maybe a few weeks ago, under the heading of Partners for Reentry Opportunities and Workforce Development grants. And the funding range for this is between 4 million minimum award up to 10 million. This award is going to have a period of performance of 48 months. It's a cooperative effort between at the federal level, between Department of Justice and Department of Labor. It's focused on folks that are incarcerated in federal prisons, I believe is my understanding of this. It has 3 different stages to it, of which states would identify an opportunity. You'd be essentially enrolling federal inmates. There'd be a training component to it, and states have to include this submission for or in the proposal how you plan to do that. I think there's been one round before for states. This is the second round of funding that's available, and so just wanted to bring that to your attention this morning as well as a potential funding opportunity.
I would like a further briefing on that one, just so I can understand it better. I might have a few questions. If we could arrange for that to happen.
Yes, sir.
Sometime in the next few days, that'd be great.
Absolutely. We'll do
Thank
that.
you.
Thanks. And that concludes my report this
All
morning.
right, thank you. Is there any other order of business come before the commission?
Chairman, let me go back and just ask Randy a real quick question on that first option that you mentioned. Is that automatic or is it competition?
On the unemployment insurance
Yes,
funding,
for
that modernization, that's going to be a competitive process.
Okay.
And so like I said, we've been working on various projects for our system. I would think that we could identify close to 11 million, and we'd probably do in individual projects when we submit that proposal will be the plan. So.
Yeah. And I just have Randy, appreciate all the work the staff's doing on those 2 initiatives too, but as they start getting closer and without them stopping what they're doing, if they could just brief my office on what they're going to present right before they do, I'd appreciate that as well.
Yes, sir. We can do that, Commissioner. Thank you.
Right. If there's no further business, is there a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, and I'm gonna make that motion. Want to bring out two quick points. I
Bet.
had the pleasure of being in Laredo, Texas this past week for 4 JET grants. And so Chairman, thank you guys for the work that you guys are doing with the JET program. As well, Dr. Ramirez on our campus is a gracious host, and they were pretty excited about those opportunities, both the students and the employers that'll benefit from those. And also in the city of Lago Vista, Eric Zeno and their team bringing together the folks in the economic development world with the workforce teams and then the education entities that were there as well. That's it.
I have nothing else.
Yes, Chair.
I don't know if Randy does.
Commissioners, may I just wanted to make sure I was clear on the previous point on the where there's interest in getting additional information on the Partners for Reentry Opportunities. We'll arrange those briefings as you requested. I want let's just want to make sure, is this something you would like us to bring back as an agenda item for additional opportunity for discussion to address questions or what have you?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that because I don't know enough about it.
Okay. Yes, sir.
All right. Any further business?
Not
No.
here.
No,
I'm here.
Shall we adjourn?
This is moved.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn, and we're adjourned. Thank you.